run through how the code is being structured. So we have the other controller that handles all the other API. So we have the API routes that gets all the routes. So we have listed all the route here. We have the order manager, which handles the service, and the order request, which handles validation for the incoming request. Yeah, so you can permit this is just for test purposes. Ideally I should be able to get the logged in user, but this is just for test purposes. Order repository, so we have the repository. So I've handled this using the repository pattern. So the repository handles the database calls for both order and payment gateway. So payment gateway also does the same, and we have an interface for both repository. Payment gateway implement the payment gateway interface, and other repository handles the other. And this has been handled from the app service provider. So this is just to take advantage of dependency injection. All right, so straight to the task. I wouldn't want this video to take too long. So here's how to create a sample order. So I'm going to create a sample order. I get an order ID, and here is how it's being created. It calls the controller, the API calls the controller calls the service, and the service calls the repository, because the repository handles the database related calls, and why the service handles the business logic. All right, so this is a database call, so it calls the other repository, and the other repository calls this method, and that's how that order is being created. I could process a payment, update this, and process payment. The payments, we have the success true, failure is in null, and everything is true. I'm gonna and here is how it's being called. The order manager calls the process payments method, and here we are. This is the process payment method. So it calls the payment gateway to charge the customer, and here is how it's being handled in the payment gateway. So the charge, so it's if order status is paid, so it updates to true, and returns the transaction ID. And yeah, so to the next one, this is how to fulfill an order. Get the order ID and call the API, and we have the order being successfully fulfilled, and here is the same approach as well as the payment gateway calls the order manager, which calls the fulfill order. Just simple, and this is the business logic. So the order, so it calls the order repository, which owns the fulfill order method. So this is here's where it's been handled. So it updates the order to be fulfilled, and yeah, and updates the fulfilled item field. And also, if you want to cancel an order, you could cancel an order. And let me test if just for a random order, and it says order not found. All right, so I'm going to use a valid order. Yeah, so the order has been cancelled, and here is how it's been cancelled in the controller. We have the cancel method, which calls the undo order method in the order manager. The order manager calls the undo order failure in the order repository. So if the order status is paid, then it processes a refund. All right, so I'm gonna check this first. Undo the order failure. Undo order failure. So yes, for what's happening, the orders, it updates the order status to failed, and update the failed, and update it with the reason. So if the order status is initially paid, then it tries to refund the payment, which we have in the payment gateway, refund payment. So here's how the refund is being done. Simply update the order to be refunded. I think I just added this, and yes, yeah, so it updates it to be refunded. And so that's how it's just, all of these are just for test purposes. Of course, we could do so the order manager can do email notifying users about the refund. When an order has been fulfilled, it can notify a user about a fulfilled order, and can be, yeah. So that's what the services is all about. um so for refund, yeah, I did something for refund, how I can, and how I can extend it to for refund. So I can, yeah, it's going to be done the same way using this particular specific method, and I'll handle my logic for refund here. And yeah, so it's simply really straightforward. And so if I want to handle multiple supplier order, so depending on the logic, I just need to create a whole new method as I've done for refund, and you know handle it as I'm supposed to. um yeah, so that's it. So let me create an order which is going to fail. um Creating an order which is going to fail. So if I try to process an order that has zero payments, it's not gonna get, it's gonna fail. It's gonna say an invalid amount, and thereby I won't be able to, yeah, I won't be able to fulfill the order. And so everything has been handled from the undo order. So I'm trying to make this video as simple as possible, but I think it's way over 5 minutes, and I apologize for that. So this is where we handle the order failure. And yeah, this is how it's been done, and it can be extended for more features depending on the logic. All right, thank you very much for your time, and I apologize. I've spent over 5 minutes. Apologies. I try to put so many things in within 5 minutes. Thank you so much once again. Hoping to hear back from you. Thank you.